on, wrestling fans? It is I, Steve Fall, and welcome to 10 Count on today's edition. It's lights, it's camera, it's action, it's the Bollywood Boyz. How are you doing today?
That's a
We're
bit
doing
of
good.
Steel 5 throwback right there, right?
I was going to say, if no one uses that on you or that's never happened to you in an interview, then I am shocked and I'm appalled by everyone who's ever interviewed you before. So hopefully that's happened.
We're going to use that going forward, and we'll credit you on that.
There's so many people who owe me so much money, but at least you admitted it out loud that you will pay me lots of sums of money.
We're not actually going to pay you.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll just CC you on the tweets.
Oh, all right. I'll accept that. It's currency. It's currency
Yes.
out there on the Twitter world.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about some fun things today, but hard-hitting questions, of course. The first one, this is the deep cut. I think everyone needs to know. Why does Randy Orton hate both of you?
I don't know, Harv. I'm gonna let Harv answer that one.
Randy loved us. Yeah, we were so blessed to be in that spotlight with Randy, and I think that whole run with Jinder as a whole, you got to work with Randy, we got to do stuff with Hunter in India. I remember doing this. We did this thing with Sting in the ring, it was just all these cool moments, Gerv got super kicked by Sean, these fun little moments as a wrestling fan you're doing it, and being in the spot we were. I think we made the most of that opportunity for what it was.
Yeah,
and just to elaborate on that, for us it was just about just maximizing our moments, our minutes during those main event matches, because the whole story was based around Jinder and Randy, but we were integral parts of that story by being on the outside, causing interference, but getting our receipts, so to speak. So
those were receipts. Those were receipts. That was me not calling the police to come help you. That's what that was. We all watched a murder live on TV, and we tuned in every week to see it. Yeah. Honestly, though, there's a moment where it's just, here's a table spot, a simple, a backdrop just on a table. It ended up being like legs over tea kettle, breaking necks. I'm surprised you're both sitting here just chit-chatting away with your mouths moving and your appendages all working, because Randy Orton accosted you on television.
I think that one got the most viral, but I think if you actually look at a lot of pay-per-views, we did stuff in Money in the Bank. There was that RKO through the table, which was a real cool spot. And then I think the Punjabi Prison one was my favorite, that bump off the top of the cage onto the table. And stuff like that, man. It was so cool. Again, being in that spot there was no reason to really highlight us or spotlight us. And that was a lot of credit to Randy, because he was let's get these kids a bit of a shine because they're out there. And if you watch the Punjabi Prison match, it wasn't about us, but to have 5 minutes on a pay-per-view, to have that moment where a lot of guys who have done our spot never really got that spotlight. You know what I mean? We got ourselves Singh Brothers top 10 beatdown on YouTube on WWE.com. So we were doing something right.
God damn it! The interview's over. We got the scoop right here. We got the exclusive.
No, but it was also about earning our stripes and earning the respect of the locker room, right? Because we were just coming in, and it's about earning your spot, so to speak. And those are just some of the bumps you saw on live pay-per-view. But you guys all missed the ones in Texarkana and Louisiana, the small towns that the live events we were making. So
all over Europe,
Oh my!
I can't even count how many Styles Clash I probably took around the world. I remember Puerto Rico and Spain. It was a Styles Clash every night. But again, I love working with guys like AJ and Randy. They were so giving, and and I just I guess wrap this part out. But it's if you look at that run we had with Jinder, it was 2.5 years. And we were in the WWE for almost we were starting our 6th year. So that run got us a lot of mileage in the company, and I think, as wrestlers, as performers, we got ourselves over within the company, to the point where guys were what else can we do with that? And that's all you can ask for when you're trying to make it in the world of wrestling.
That reminds me of when Seth Rollins, though, became champion and he had J&J Security. It made him a heel who was afraid to get his hands dirty and, put people in front of him so he never gets hurt. Same thing I felt like with Jinder. They were trying to establish him immediately. So how do you do that? Make him a boss, make him in charge of people. And suddenly you two are out there getting your asses handed to you, but earning stripes, earning money and earn those styles clashes at all those house shows. So in reality, you know, you can't ask for more than being on TV, maximizing your minutes and getting your ass handed to you by Randy Orton.
You summed it up right there, man. That was it. Just maximizing our minutes, making the most of the opportunities we were getting. And you know, after our release, you know, Randy was one of the first people to kind of, you know, reach out to us and like make, you know, just saying that, you know, like words of encouragement, just saying that, you know, you guys are gonna be all right if you guys just keep plugging away. So, you know, we've always been appreciative of him.
So now here's the question I think I really want the answer to. Why do you believe Jinder Mahal was made WWE champion? Many rumors because they wanted to expand business in India. So, hey, having a champion from India looks pretty good on paper when you're trying to promote live events and go across there. They even had that event on the network, but it was like, it was very wishy-washy on the way they presented it. But why do you feel like Jinder was champion? Because up to that point, we had 3MB. It was very hard for suddenly to be put in position of, hey, this guy is a contender. And I was all for it. I'm like, this is how you build people. This is how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we weren't privy to any of that information as far as why he was, you know, champion. But if you look at his backstory, you know, he had been released. He came back better than ever, in shape. And not only that, but, you know, he was a veteran of the business and of the WWE because he was already there for 5-6 years. So he had earned his stripes, paid his dues, and you know, timing's everything. And yeah, they were, you know, expanding in India at that time and looking to do live events, whatnot. But again, for us, we were just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. As you know, oftentimes you as wrestlers being backstage, we have no idea. You know, we're in NXT. We got the call, hey, we need you guys on SmackDown. And remember, Road Dogg pulled us aside and he's like, hey, you guys are gonna do what I did with Jarrett. It's a huge opportunity. It's a world title picture. We don't know how long it's gonna last. Right. I don't think anybody envisioned it going as long as it did, or you know, I didn't even know if he was supposed to win the title or not, or you know, it just kind of started happening. But again, being there, you're just you know, you're part of this huge Hollywood film pretty much, and you're just playing a character. You know, okay, today you're doing this, and we showed up and we tried to do the best of what was asked of us.
Yeah, and also to elaborate on that, Harv, you got to keep in mind that, you know, when our chemistry was great. The three of us, we bonded, and people forget or don't know that the three of us also knew each other from our independent days in Western Canada, in Vancouver, in Calgary. So we already knew Raj or Jinder, you know, before that. So for us, you know, the transition was easy. We got to ride together, travel the world together, and just you know, buddies going to wrestling shows, making counts.
That's good to hear, because again, the aspect of world champions over the years in the WWE, if you look at them, we'll just throw out examples like an Edge. Started singles wrestler, tag team, Brood, you know, get growing and growing and growing, became champion. For some people, like you said, Jinder has a great story, but the story wasn't hit over our head like with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, oh, he was fired, he came back, he became champion, Scar's Nightmare. Like that, to me, we all were spoon-fed this. Jinder, I felt like they just wanted us to accept him immediately as an audience, but at the same time, we still had that taste from previously before. Now, your experience obviously is completely different from an outsider looking in, because you're like, oh, hey, this is an opportunity to be on TV every week with a world champion. I'm not going to ask questions or complain. I'm going to enjoy the ride. But as someone watching it, we're all like, I like this, but why aren't they really like hitting me over the head with why he's champion? Because he doesn't even get to Survivor Series to take on Brock Lesnar. They strip it away from him like the episode before Survivor Series. So where are you guys landing on that aspect? Because I know you're not asking questions to your bosses, but you and Jinder must be chit-chatting away, being like, what the F, man? All this work for this and we get yanked out?
Honestly, dude, like I remember when we were in Europe and we learned that it was going to be Jinder versus AJ, and literally we didn't ask that question. So it's like more of us, you know, just show up, do your thing, and see what happens. It was never like, oh my God, why, or what's the story behind it? Nah, I mean, we just showed up and did our thing, man. That was simple as that. And you know, also to like, you know, hit a little deeper. Like for us, we were also, you gotta remember, representing India, where our parents come from, our, you know, our background, ourselves. So like for us, we were just happy that there were so many kids back home in Punjab, India, or just all over the country of India that are looking up to the three of us as like, oh my God, like these guys are giving us hope that we can all make it. Do you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
I know it does make sense. But right, representation, though, is what you're talking about. Hey, look at people where we're from, look who we look like and act like and want to be like us and make it here.
Yeah, so on camera, we may have been the bad guys, so to speak.
But but at home, you're good guys.
Yeah, I mean, our parents, immigrant parents coming from India to Canada and creating this life for us. And here we are living the American dream, so to speak.
Just like it's so different, like being on the inside. It's just such a grind. You're making pounds. Like it's hard to explain to somebody. It's like this tunnel vision. Okay, you show up. Okay, now you got a European tour. We show up. Okay, Jinder's dropping the title. Great. Okay, well, we still got 2 weeks of shows in Europe. Okay, there's this coming up. There's this coming up. Oh no, they want us on 205 now. We got to go to NXT. Okay, I only got 2 days off. It's just like it's crazy whirlwind. But like now being on the outside, not being in WWE, you could see how people like, oh, it's WrestleMania. It's like, oh, I wonder what's going on. But when you're there, it's just like 5 years for us just flew by because you're talking
about at work.
You're in the system.
You're going. Okay, you're at work every day. You go to work. You clock in. You do your job. You clock out. Like obviously, you're having fun, living your dream.
You are having fun. You're trying to, like, guys like us. We're still trying to get over. We're trying to make it. We still got Jinder's dropped the title. What's next for us? You're doing all this, but you're showing up to the shows, and it's just such a grind. And then when you step out of it, I remember Edge told us that it's like when you're in the WWE, you're so deep in the forest. All these questions, you forget it. You're just in it like this. The moment you step out, you're like, oh, okay, I was there. Like, it's like, oh, I could see how it slows down outside. But when you're there, man, it's a whirlwind. You're just flying. You're just flying around the world.
Literally. Yeah. And so when they were talking about expanding into India, are you asking questions like, hey, can we be presented as heroes, or is this going to be something different? Because I know there was a live event, a house show in India, and Jinder was champion. And when he showed up, it was like, oh my God, he's here. Like it was having the biggest celebrity show up there.
He was champion when he went. He was champion when he went for the meet and greet that we were supposed to go to, but we had passport issues. So, but yes.
Stuff with Hunter.
Oh, you guys had issues?
Yeah, we just couldn't go because of visa issues. But
okay. Yeah, but that right there for Jinder was a hero's welcome. Great Khali gets the same reception. Like there are people, I think, that forget, like you said earlier, that you are representing a whole set of people who are looking at you as heroes, portrayed as evil, maybe on TV, but the fact that you're there on the show that everyone's watching and hoping they could ever be a part of, you've been a part of. Living your dream must be an accomplishment, but now your goals are obviously changing.
We went to Delhi. I remember there was that live event. It was just so much fun. I mean, it's such fond memories of, it's like what you kind of dream up as a kid, getting to go, travel around the world and wrestle for the WWE and being there doing media and just seeing the love and seeing a different aspect of it. Cause I think in the States, maybe, and North America, it's like, we're so deep into it, like the wrestling and analyzing it there. They just love wrestling. You know what I mean? It's so different. It's almost like what it was in the 80s and 90s for us growing up. And you still see that for them. So it was so like such a rewarding experience, and kind of like it is what you dream of growing up and experience something like that.
And so when Jinder loses the championship, it's not like your pay changes, right? Like it's not, you're talking about how in a week you're going here, in a week you're going there, in 2 weeks you're going here. Jinder loses the title. Okay, next town.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not seeing a difference in your responsibilities or pay.
We were always working. I mean, I remember there was a period when Gerv and I were doing stuff with Jinder on Raw, and then on SmackDown we were bumping around for the Viking Raiders, and then we'd be on NXT Dango and Breeze, and then we'd be chasing around R-Truth for the 24/7 title on the live events. So we were, very well used and just constantly in the rotation, which is what you want as a performer, when you're just, again, trying to climb up the ladder of success.
Yeah, I imagine swimming with sharks is a bit difficult on certain days. So Road Dogg on his podcast said, now obviously you're talking, Road Dogg pulled you aside saying you're going to go do this thing with Jinder, but Road Dogg on his podcast said Brock Lesnar refused to work with Jinder Mahal. Those are Road Dogg's words. We've never had Brock Lesnar come out on a show, because he never would, and say, hey, I didn't want to work with Jinder. that's what Road Dogg says. He's an agent, so he may be privy to this information we're not of. And that to me was like a hit over the head to Jinder's run, just like actually happened to Kofi Kingston too, is you have this great run, you get to the end, and it just gets, it kind of gets squashed a little bit. So Road Dogg says these words, which sucks, but, you know, that's Road Dogg. I know we've talked about Jinder a lot here, but honestly, it was shocking as a fan and someone who's watching at home. But as you're in the mud, you're like, oh, okay, he lost. Okay, next town. Next town.
First time hearing about it. Yeah, first time hearing about it. So
yeah.
we had 2 weeks of Europe to do after that, and we had to go to South America and go to India. So the first time we're hearing about that.
So why don't you think there's more wrestlers from India in the WWE presented in all over SmackDown, Raw, NXT, really anything? Because it always feels like there's a cap randomly, like, oh, we have so many of people from this people and this, but it's like, what? That's so stupid, that mindset, because there's so many people from around the world from everywhere watching the WWE. Wouldn't you want to be represented from everywhere?
I think, honestly, for like anyone that's coming in, like, you know, you take what you get, you make the most of it, and then you go from there. Like, you know, even for us, to what my brother was pointing out a couple of minutes ago, like, we were being constantly rotated. You know, we came in as the Bollywood Boys for 205 Live, then we were in NXT as the Bollywood Boys, and then out of nowhere we get the call to come up as a Singh Brothers. So it's like, you know, it's like a Hollywood edition, Harv, if you want to elaborate on it a little bit more. But like, for us, it was just like, you get what you take what you get and make the most of it. And then
what we're trying to say is, like, it's like being a movie, get cast in a movie. When you're, again, now that we're on the independents, you know, we just did Dungeon Wrestling for Bret Hart. We do Defy Wrestling, and you're living your wrestling dreams. You know, you're doing these ladder matches, you're doing, you know, these 30-minute Broadways. But when you're in the WWE or when you're doing TV wrestling, you're it's not necessarily wrestling, it's you're cast in a part, you know, and you have to. And I remember Regal told us this. He's like, your wrestling careers will never, ever go the way you think they're going to go. You know, we all get signed. We all have these dreams. And then you get into this billion-dollar organization and you get cast in these roles. And it is, you have to see it like a movie. And when you're watching it from the outside, it seems a little different. But when you're on the inside, it makes sense. Okay, we got these guys here. We need these guys there. And this guy gets casted as this. It's a big production. People need to fill roles. And you just have to kind of go with it and hope somewhere you do something right, gets over. And you see guys like Daniel Bryan get over with the yes chant, you know, so many guys, you know, and we're all kind of swimming and trying to make our name in the business while you're playing these parts.
Yeah. I just always, a lot of people I talk to, I'll be like, oh, well, what do you think about this person or the so-and-so? They're like, well, yeah, that's great, but I wish they would talk about representation or things like that. And it turns into like a weird cycle of.
And you know what? Sorry, Steve, just to cut you off there. Yeah. Like, as far as representation goes, now, to my brother's point, what we are doing on the independent circuit, we are truly representing, you know, our Punjabi culture, our Indian background to the fullest extent, with, you know, and like we have so much fun doing it, because we're going to all these small towns or like these shows on the independent circuit where people don't necessarily know what Bhangra is, but like when we come out to our music, you got the entire crowd, like whether it's 200 people or 500 or 1,000 in a community center, everyone doing the Bhangra or the Bollywood dance. So to us, that's so it's so fulfilling that we're getting to like showcase our culture, our people to the way we want to.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. You know, and you know, it's organically catching on, and you know, people are loving it, and we're having so much fun doing it.
The last year we were in WWE, when 205 was being filled with NXT, was probably our best body of work wrestling wise, and unfortunately not a lot of people were tuning into 205 at that point. But I mean, we were very proud of that. We were still doing we were getting to the Bollywood dance, and to that audience in the Performance Center during that COVID time, they were kind of catching on to it. So it was one of those things, you never know. If we were there for another 5 years, it could have gone to a different direction. You know what I mean? It's just it's the cards that are dealt. But you know, we're happy what we're doing now. We're getting to, again, you know, rebrand ourselves and you know, go out there and test our limits with some
and
of the
even best. If people weren't watching 205, we were getting great feedback from the fans from India that were watching it, because they see the clips of WWE posting 205 stuff. So like, and the best thing about the whole Performance Center tapings was that we were getting real-time feedback from agents like Road Dogg and, you know, Shawn Michaels, Hunter, who was watching the shows, Regal. So, you know, we were very blessed and very grateful for that time period, because that's what truly boosted our confidence, working in front of like these agents that you wouldn't normally get to work in front of.
True. Let's talk about 205 Live then. What were your expectations? Because at the time, when it aired, it was aired live, and I think the first night was a championship match, and Rich Swann won the championship, and it was crazy. And then on Raw, they had the purple ropes, and it was like a whole new process. But then it kind of just lost a wheel on it. It had 4 wheels and it lost one. It was still chugging along, but it wasn't what they designed it for. And I don't know if it's because of the big man mentality of the WWE over the years in the 80s, where like, oh, only big men here. Is that a Vince McMahon thing? What was your perspective and expectations of 205 Live?
I think the hardest thing was placement. I think a lot of guys, it was just because it came on after SmackDown. Yes. And I know the company was really behind 205, and all the boys that were on 205 worked hard every night. Like guys like Ali and Murphy, they were having some amazing matches. But like, when you go on after Roman and Seth and Paige, Randy, and everybody, it's hard to. And again, you're kind of still establishing yourselves. Nobody was, on network live or cable TV. We were all on the network, and then you come on after SmackDown's taped. It's a hard challenge, but again, everybody busted their ass every night.
And like to what I was talking about earlier, like once we started filming 205 at the Performance Center, that's when like everyone was kind of like watching the product. And when I talk about everyone, I'm talking about the agents. And everyone's like they're watching it, you're getting feedback, you're getting better. Okay, so this didn't work this week. Let's come back and try it again next week. Like people cared over.
205 was around for almost 5 years, so it was.
Of course,
it was like I think everybody wanted that show to really get going, and I think it served its purpose. For what the time was there. Again, you look at a guy like Ali, he's doing great. And everybody we all found success at certain different times through that show. So it's like, I'm sure there'll be another show in a few years that'll be different. It rebrand.
And Enzo and Neville were there too, though. Those are two big stars.
When we got the call to come out with Jinder, we were still under the 205 umbrella, and then when we got the call. And we thought we were going to a tapings for a 205 Live match, not knowing that we were getting placed in this prominent role, coming up here. So it's funny how it's again, this business has always been and always will be about timing and placement. That's all it is, A
little bit of talent, a little bit of luck. It seems to be the case for many careers. Hey, if Steve Austin wasn't fired from WCW, we would never have gotten Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's just all these little breadcrumbs.
Hard work and not giving up. Like you look at the story of a lot of us who were on 205 was very similar. Just years of grinding on the independents and trying to make it. It was like I think all of us were wrestling for about 10 years.
Yeah, especially the guys that came out of the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, and so just like guys just never gave up and they worked hard, and it was nice to see a lot of guys get opportunities that probably would never have got it. So it was the show definitely served its purpose for a lot of us.
But you bring a good point up about Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, then it's 205 Live, and you haven't established yourself yet. Go back to when ECW was taped after SmackDown Live. Same thing. It was like we have 20,000 people here for Batista and Edge and Mysterio. All right, that show's over. The dad and mom who brought that kid has no idea probably what 205 Live is, unfortunately, or ECW, and it's like, all right, let's go, and you start walking up the aisle, and then there's people there, obviously, but it's not the same thing. If you were first, then that would probably be a great way. Main event now is taped that way.
I think they tried doing it first, but then it's like, how early can you go without the crowd not being there? You know what I mean? Like, people are still filing in. They got work, they got school. How early can you start the show too? So I remember that being brought up, but there's like, okay, then you're like half the audience is not even there yet. So do you wrestle in front of a lesser audience, or it was just like, again, this is the business side of it, I guess, right? It's like, or do you, while people are there, hopefully try to catch people's attention, so it was just one of those things. But again, to what Gerb was saying, once it went down to the Performance Center, filming before NXT, I think it was a best thing for it.
Now, I talked to Rob Van Dam about this, and he was on the ECW show taped after SmackDown, and he brought up a hell of a good point, and I wonder if it happened to you too. ECW wrestlers, sometimes you're paid off the gate of what was brought in, but you're not split. It's not ECW getting the money. It's SmackDown getting the money, and they give you a piece of that pie. 205 Live, when it's taped after SmackDown, is that situation the same for you as in Rob Van Dam? Because he was super pissed about that.
I think the contracts were probably different then. From what I understand, this is because this is only a couple of years ago. We all had our guaranteed contracts, and
okay.
Yeah. So I think the contract stuff changed from because that was almost what ECW was it 10 years ago now?
It was 15 or something.
It's got to be even more because NXT replaced ECW with their weird, trivia games and shit. But I was just curious. I was curious because I was like, wait a minute, 205 Live, Rob Van Dam brought this up to me, and I never even heard of that story. I was like, wait a minute. You weren't getting paid off of your own money. You're getting paid off the gate too, but yet you're not getting your gate because 205 Live is the marquee. It's SmackDown.
Yeah, no, we were all
we were compensated properly.
Different contracts by then.
Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure because when he told me that, my mind blew. I was like, I didn't even think about that. Those poor Kelly and Mike Knox and all those talented people, and Zack Ryder with one pant leg, which I'll still love to the end of time. Great gear. He stuck out. Though you guys were involved with AEW, and I gotta say, the war between WWE and AEW fans is toxic, but also very entertaining. It's like watching your favorite team fight the other team. And you're like, man, I don't know who's going to win this fight, but I'm just going to enjoy my popcorn. But when you work with AEW, what was the experience different from like with WWE because you've been to both lands?
To be honest, it's just another. It's for us when we showed up. It's just TV wrestling. I think because we've been doing it for so long. We knew half the roster. As a lot of the WWE guys there, and even if they weren't in WWE, a lot of the guys we've met on the independent. So the atmosphere was great. Everybody was friendly. And again, for us, because we've been doing TV wrestling for so long, it was. Then coming on the independents now and then going back, we're like, there's certain aspects of TV wrestling.
Yeah, we just show up and do our thing. I mean, again, going back to what we were saying about 205, we just before we got released, our confidence was sky high as far as like learning from such great minds like Road Dogg, Sean, and Regal and Hunter, and we were just taking what we had just learned and now we're bringing it onto independent circuit, and we just applying it. And when you get an opportunity to go do a dark or go do a rampage, you're just applying what you learn and just go out and do the 8 minutes you get on TV and just go do your best.
Yeah,
man. The more work for the boys and the girls that trying to make a living and it's so important. It's so nice to see guys and girls, being able to put food on their table, pay their rent, pay their mortgage through wrestling. And I think that's what it ultimately comes down to, whether you're WWE or AEW or any other wrestling company. It's like
just try and make a living.
Yeah, it's trying to make a living, and look at all the people that are making a living of wrestling outside of being signed to a company. Like, you got all these podcasts and all these people. So I think the more the companies that do well, it's better for everybody.
True. Hey, there's food on my table. Doing what I'm doing. So there's always I got 3 children, so that's a lot of food on the table. So hustle. I almost quoted John Cena, and then I thought he'd sue me. So I just stopped. I was like, I'm not going to continue with his catchphrases. I'm not getting sued by an invisible man. But yet, when you were drafted, and let's go back to WWE for a second, you were drafted away from Jinder, and again, you keep bringing it up, but you say, oh, well, it's fine with that. We're going to the next town. We're going to the next town. We're going to the next town. But is there an aspect of we have something good, like really good. Do you actually ever want to put your foot down? Or like you said, you're trying to create traction. You're trying to get moving forward. So you're like, whatever they want, we will do.
No, it's not. That's not the point. The point is more like when we got drafted away from Jinder, we went straight back to 205 Live, and for us, that's when we kind of started doing more of the Bollywood Boyz shtick that we were doing, what we're doing now, and what we were doing when we originally came in, and we were pitching ideas to the writers by then on 205, and if anybody goes back to watch any of that stuff from 205. Anything that we would pitch as far as vignettes or backstage interviews, segments, we were pretty much getting it on 205. And, we started trying different things with the slate, catchphrases, whatever.
I love that slate. Just want to let you know. I love that.
Yeah. And that was just all like, hey, let's just throw. That was a good thing about getting drafted back to 205 was that you can throw things against the wall and see what works and what sticks. And, it's more about seeing if one of the higher ups catches the eye, because at TVs it's such a busy day, you barely get chance to talk to like your co-workers, because they're all working on their segments or their promos, let alone the bosses, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, but once the pandemic happened, there was no live event. So again, you're just showing up to TVs, everyone's busy writing a show, and you're just gonna just absolutely just try what you maybe have talked about on a flight to Florida, because we're flying from Vancouver to Florida anyway. So
point, like, it was never for us, it was never about, oh, let's just keep doing what they're asking. But we were so busy, and that was so important. Like, if you look at our career trajectory, we were always used. And that's that's a very important point. We were always either on NXT, either on a live event doing something else, or Raw or SmackDown. Like, we were always like busy. So we're like, okay, we're kind of on the right path. It's one thing if we just did one thing and sat home for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or you know what I mean? Like, so in our mind, we're like, okay, we're doing something right. Let's, keep doing it, and maybe opportunities will open up.
Yeah, our thing, honestly, the biggest thing is, even now, man, like, I'm gonna cut right to the chase. It's like, our biggest thing even now is like, let's just keep doing it. I don't like think about the outside noise, or I just keep working hard. That's our motto. That's been our thing since when we started wrestling in 2004. Like, just work hard and just hope for the best. That's something that's been instilled in us by our parents as well. Like, like going back to the immigrant parent coming from India, like, all we ever saw was hard work. You know what I'm saying? Our dad 70 plus still driving a bus. You know what I'm saying? So like, for us, it's never about boo-boo face or anything. Like, just show up, man, do your thing, and as long as you keep working hard, something will give. And whether it's whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, like, we've been on the outside looking in for 2 years. We're coming up to 2 years since we got released, and our mindset never changed. Like, even when we got released, man, like, we were just showing up to in-ring practice, because we were still hitting the ring here, still training on our days off. And like, it could have been like, oh man, we got released, we can just pack it up and go home, and like sulk, or we can just put our boots on and start training. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's like 2 years later, we're still doing it. You know what I'm saying? We're showing up to these shows, doing business, just having the fun, and just not giving up on ourselves. As cliche and as cliche as that sounds, that's true, man. For us, man, we're lucky we have each other. You know what I'm saying? We're so lucky as real brothers. We have each other to rely on, whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? We keep ourselves accountable. Like, I won't let him miss the gym day, and he won't let me. And he'll come train with me, and I'll come. It's just like, we just on a different mindset. And
that's how we were in the WWE, and how we are now. And just we love it. We love wrestling, and
we just love wrestling. And hopefully we'll land somewhere. So we'll see what happens.
Well, it sounds like the passion is still flowing through you guys. So
you almost got me.
You almost
got me teared up, man.
Oh my god! I was like,
like there's no, like, that's why for us it's like, we don't like sit around like, oh man, why is it not working for? We're just like, you know what, bro? Like, it'll happen. Like, it just keep working hard, man. Like, does it suck not having a full-time wrestling job? Yes, but at the same time, our weekends are almost packed with wrestling shows. You know what I'm saying? We're always wrestling. Like, again, Defy Wrestling, man, much love to them. They took care of us. They got us working visas. As Canadians, we wouldn't be able to do this in the US without visas. And Defy Wrestling out of Seattle, they came, they took care of us. We can go to the States every week. We're going to Trinidad next week for a show out there, like going back to the AEW stuff. We're getting opportunities there, just making the most, man. If our phone rings, it rings. If it doesn't, we'll keep plugging away.
I love it.
That's it, man. Straight up, bro.
I love it. Again, you just said it perfectly a little while ago. We're not going to sit here and give boo-boo face. And I love it so much, because I have talked to many wrestlers who don't work there anymore. And you get different stories. You never know what you're going to get when you ask someone a question.
I think a lot of it's like, just again, understanding life. Again, our father, he worked so hard. He drove a bus. I mean, that's a real job.
I know we keep going back to our parents, but it's true, man.
Our mom, she also works. So like, you grow up in a family middle-class family, where you see people working hard for money. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a real blue-collar job. So then you get signed to a major wrestling organization, and you get to travel the world, live your dream. You're like, oh, it's work, but it's also fun. And again, our father, he compared to that, he worked hard.
If there's one clickbait that can come out of this podcast would be that straight, like the Bollywood Boys are doing this for their parents. Like literally this second run, whatever we're doing, I get teared up talking about it because it's so freaking emotional for me. Like when we first wanted to get to the WWE, we wanted to do it for ourselves because that was our dream. We watched Brett, we watched Sean, like the Iron Man match. But now, man, oh man, I'm gonna fight back tears talking about this. But like now we're doing it for our parents, man. We want to make it back so they can retire, they can have a life, and they can settle, right? So for us, like that's why we're not giving up, man. Like oh man, I'm gonna break down here, but it's this one headline that can come out of this, please, is that the Bollywood Boys are doing this for their parents. Like they want to make it back for their parents, wherever that is. And our parents, they still haven't given up on us. The first thing our dad said is, don't give up on yourself. Even if you lost your dream job, keep working hard. You guys will get back. Even after the AEW runs, or the 2 tapings, they're always so supportive. And much love to our parents for keeping us on the right path. Yeah, man. So I'm gonna stop right there. But please, if there's a clickbait, that's your clickbait right there. Bollywood Boys are doing it for their parents. That's it, brother.
I love it. Yeah,
man. I'm sorry about I just get so passionate talking about them.
No. And you brought up
being real. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you brought up a really good point about dreams. Like you said, the dream was to get to the WWE. You did that. For you. You finished that dream. So no one told you how long a dream will last, but the dream keeps changing.
The dream's not over. Our phone might ring tomorrow, and we may go back to WWE. We might get a call from AEW. We might go there, but So right now, we're just making shots, staying ready, staying focused, because our parents haven't given up on us, so we're not gonna give up on ourselves.
Of course, dreams keep changing as time goes on. So
everyone does it for. And everyone does it for different reasons, right? Like for us, it's for our families. We want to put food on our families' tables. We want to, pay the bills. We want to take care of our families. We want to take care of our aging parents. So yeah, man, it's funny. It's so real now to us. Like it's not gimmick. It's not like, oh, we're the Bollywood Boys, we're gonna dance. We're the Bollywood Boys, but now we're doing it for the people that have supported us. And man, going back to our earlier, like no boo boo faces here. Just we're gonna get up tomorrow morning, go hit the ring, or go for a workout, and just stay ready for the weekend and go make our towns.
Yeah, I love it. That'll be the title. Bollywood Boys, no boo-boo face. I will see. I don't know what they're gonna pull out of this interview. You never know. When a half an hour goes by, you have no clue what that one line is that someone said. Like, did you hear them say that?
Yeah. Right.
And they, they freak out or they love it. I don't know. Either way, it has been a pleasure, and I know we have gone to about half an hour now, but I've enjoyed this conversation. You never know what someone's going to say to you when you ask them a question about being released by the WWE, or Jinder Mahal losing a championship early, or the run you guys had for 5+ years, kicking ass, taking names. But I'd say your passion is contagious, and I love it so much. So I want to say, thank you for sharing your emotions and your feelings today, because some people, they want to tell you how they feel, but they're not really telling you how they're feeling. They're just more like, I wish I won that belt. You're the one sitting here telling me what you're doing it for, who's it for, your family, and the passion is obviously still there, because it's not just about you now, it's about your family. That's pretty awesome. Good to hear. Well, folks, it has been an honor and a privilege talking to the Bollywood Boys today. It feels like in front of me, they've turned into Bollywood men, but maybe they already are men. But thank you so much for being here on 10 Count. I've been Steve Paul. They're the Bollywood Boys. We've had a great time chit-chatting away. Have a great time. And remember, call your parents, because I'm going to go call mine right now. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
There you go.
Bye-bye.